The living room opens directly to the dining room. Here again, the bones of this room are just lovely. We have the crown mouldings. The size of it is very, very nice. But the damask on the walls, more likely than not, I'll actually just cover that with some lining paper and paint that out white as well. And I'm inheriting this chandelier, which is a really fun thing to do. Whether I'll keep this particular one here, I'm not really sure, but certainly it will land up somewhere in the house. Perhaps the room that will get the most changes is the adjacent kitchen, although most of the changes aren't that major. Love this tile work. I just think it's just got a really lovely, classic, traditional feeling. But there's this guy now that does this process where he actually paints over tile, and I'm going to just try that along this black strip here, because to me that just feels very 1940s, and Shabby Chic kind of is a mixture more of contemporary meeting turn of the century. The owners were kind enough to let me inherit this little dining set. Yellow, as you know, is not my colour, but once this is painted white or a pale green or just some colour that's in my palette, I think this will go really beautifully outside. I did, however, decide to remove the Banquette altogether. I actually decided to just pull it out. Any kind of vinyl just isn't in the Shabby Chic world. The cabinetry is fine, just needs a few coats of paint. And the handles will probably just need a good old scrub. And then the one final thing in here, which is going to probably be the most construction that I'm going to have to do in the whole house, is to lift up the linoleum. I just want to have the wooden floors flowing throughout the whole house. The adjoining dining room was a great room as well, but it just so happened that this was the last room that I got to. By the time I got here, all of my budget money was pretty much used up. So I had to really think about how I was going to pull this together with basically no money. And what I basically decided to do was, for example, I really intended initially, in fact I had a particular chandelier earmarked to go right here. It had lovely pink tones and it was quite big and grand. But then I realized, you know what, we inherited this chandelier, it works, there's something certainly very beautiful about it, but just also rather simple about it, and it didn't cost me anything. Same goes for this lovely day bed over here. I had this in my Malibu home and it was just kind of kicking around outside. Didn't really use it much, so I decided to just paint it out white, gave it a new load of slip covers for the seat cushion here and all the throw pillows. I almost purchased some new silverware, but luck intervened, to the tune of a mere $90. I came across this really beautiful vintage silver-plated set of cutlery. I just think it's just glorious, everything about it, even the packaging. And it actually worked out to be about $1.50 per item. So I think that's really great going, and kind of like, I don't know, a wedding present to myself with no wedding. The table it sits on is a compromise. I'd planned on a cherry wood table, but because my budget was spent, I settled on this primitive one, which actually turned out to be just perfect. So even though I kind of call this the leftover room of just things that I just kind of had already in my life, I think come together, I think it's really made a very appealing and inviting dining room that I think is really going to be used, whether it be for a bowl of pasta or a really beautiful Thanksgiving dinner. The adjacent kitchen underwent the most detailed transformation. Although nothing major except for the floor, beautiful hardwood has replaced the old linoleum. Most of the other changes here are a bit more subtle. Along with all the tile work, loved it, always liked old tile work. There was the black stripe along here, and found this great tile guy to paint that out. And then as far as all the cabinetry goes, it's come out beautifully. We did quite a high sheen of paint on it, and we kept all the original hardware, but once again, very Shabby Chic thing to do, just cleaned it up to the best of our ability. Now over here originally there was this little breakfast nook that was kind of cute, and certainly I could have taken off the yellow plastic fabric and put some Shabby Chic fabric and kind of made it sweet. But for a couple of reasons I just decided to get rid of it. One, by the way that it was all positioned, you'd be looking out onto the kitchen, and I just thought that it would be nice to have the freedom to be able to look out through this lovely window into the garden. But also, Shabby Chic isn't about being cute, it's about kind of having free spaces, so that's why I decided to do away with that. I think we'll all make some nice yummy meals in here and enjoy some family times.